And hitch relief communications was a critical piece that we identified needed to be more seamless. We also developed these weekly action task logs and a process for saying, hey, the things that got on there, did we complete them? We could start looking at some KPIs such as percentage of weekly task items that are closed versus open. How are we doing on this? It helps us identify some of the sourcing issues we might potentially have. And then the final thing was some analytical skills. And we developed production monitoring guides, well test guides, well intervention. These are just a number of different things. And then went ahead and did some workshops for the guys in the field. And these are some of the skills that if we're going to ask them to step up and manage more of this, you got to at least close a little bit of any deficits if you have the knowledge on that. Here's a operator skills matrix that I was mentioning before, and it kind of shows basic, intermediate, advanced, and wellhead and components, safety system, pressure control, gas load. And we actually are having the individual's PIC or supervisor fill this out. So he can sit down with him and it can become a tool that when we do annual performance reviews, we can sit down and go, here's where you were a year ago, here's where you are now, or where you've advanced to, and it can be a real useful tool in that aspect as well. And it also answers the question when you hire a new C operator and he's been there 6 months and he says, I've been here 6 months, I should be a B. You kind of go, you might need to know a little bit more than just being here 6 months. Kind of where we are right now is we spent about a month and a half doing the gap analysis. We spent about another 2 or 3 months doing a design, coming up with the final product that we wanted to. And about 2 months ago, we began implementation in the field. And we kind of sat back and wanted to make sure that we had buy-in from the guys in the field. So we did orientation and training for all the production superintendents and foremen, kind of a train-the-trainer. We did conduct some training in each of the 4 areas, and we've got 4 offshore operating areas. So we said, let's go set up this process in a key area within each 4 of these. We'll use that as a basis to start rolling out to the additional platforms and operations in that particular area. We trained our engineers, superintendents, and foremen in these core areas, and those guys are rolling it out right now. So implementation right now is we've got about 25% of our fields done, which represent about 50% of our total production. So within about a month, this wasn't a long and drawn-out process to roll this out. It leaves what I call a pretty small footprint on it. And full implementation across the Gulf of Mexico fields by the end of the 3rd quarter. Now, you might sit back and go, okay, that all sounds good and dandy. Did you really get anything out of it? Does it really work? And I can tell you, we just logged some of the best uptime numbers we've ever had within the last month. Now, can I say that it is a direct result of this? And it wouldn't have happened had we not done this? No, I can't necessarily say that. But I can tell you, we're spending a lot more time talking about wells. We're spending a lot more time talking about how well do we do as a percentage of our BDR. We're spending a lot more time with interaction going on between our engineers and our guys in the field that are right next to it. So if you ask my opinion, I'd say, yeah, I think it probably has a lot to do with it. And that's part of this whole journey that you got to go through is as you go down this path. Guys in the field, and everyone knows this, they don't really like a lot of change, and they're skeptical. And in some cases, we're at fault for that because we've forced them to do some things that probably weren't the best things to go do. So they've got a history of different projects like this taking place. But I'm kind of a firm believer that the guys in the field are far more clever than you might give them credit for. If you describe what you're trying to achieve and you give them the tools to do it, if you get out of the way, you're probably going to get real surprised by what you get out of them. And I kind of looked at this project, and my guys, I had plenty of pushback on it, but I described to my guys as, listen, I've got 5 production engineers sitting in Lafayette looking at 250 wells. What if I got the other 150 guys that are offshore looking at those same wells and trying to manage the targets you guys set? So instead of 5 people looking at it, I've got 155 looking at it every day. So that was kind of the journey we've been through, and it wasn't, again, there's nothing earth-shattering here, but it was and your efforts could be different, and you could end up with it in a different place because you could have different gaps. These were the gaps we had, but there was just a fundamental disconnect between my engineers in the office and the guys in the field as to what we were managing to. And once we clarified it and built a process and built a system to make that clear to everyone, and then added some skills, added some reporting and some requirements out there, we started to see some results. And you know, again, if we just increase production by 1 or 2%, that's worth a heck of a lot of money to our bottom line, and it's established a culture of performance in here. And the last thing I'll say is kind of true proof in the pudding, so to speak, is across the areas that we've implemented this in, and Ron can tell you, a common comment is we'll go do a rollout, and we'll go to crew change, we'll sit down, we'll show them a couple of slides, tell them what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, give them an expectation for what we need to do, and invariably, guys will walk out of that meeting, and won't say it to us, but they'll say to each other, man, that's a bunch of, that ain't going to work, that is BS, and invariably, they'll come back a week or two later and go, this is pretty good stuff. This is really helping us operate better. This is really helping us focus on the things we need to do, and that's across the board. So I take that as the ultimate testament. When you develop a project and it actually improves your performance, and the guys in the field actually accept it and like it, you've hit the target on that one. So anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. If you guys have any questions, yeah.
Curious if you've had any of your service companies that help you with this come to your quarterly meetings or your monthly meetings, because they can play a big role in that.
We have about 60% of our workforce are contractors. We predominantly use Wood Group and Island, and we actually treat these guys like our own employees. And we actually have a meeting twice a year where we bring everyone in from offshore, kind of do a safety meeting. But what I'm describing to you here on the skills assessment, we have some platforms that it's nothing but contract employees. So they're just as engaged in this process as Stone employees are. So they'll participate in the weekly meetings and the daily meetings and the monthly meetings. Yeah, they will. Good question. Tim?
That's what I was going to ask,
Yeah.
is what percentage are contractors?
Yeah, it's about 60%, and that's just kind of our growth and shrink strategy, so to speak, because it is a little bit of a moving target on the show. Yeah.
On your slide, technical skills assessment, I'm interested in that because our company is going through that right now.
Right.
What are the details behind that? Do you go through a series of additional questions to categorize this where you fit this matrix? Do you witness on-the-job performance, some combination? I'm curious how you get to work.
We didn't dig quite that deep into it. We kind of started with virtually all of our PIC, all of our foremen, and the vast majority of our PICs are Stone people. And these are going to be our most serious guys. So at least initially, we're relying on those guys to kind of do that assessment. And we're relying on their judgment to kind of say, hey, this guy really doesn't know, gas lift or compression or any of these different things based on their observation of him working the process. So, but it's a good question. The other thing we feel that this is going to help us do is comply with the new SIMS rule, because part of the new SIMS rule talks about training, but it also talks about you have to ensure that the folks you have working out there, both employees and contractors, are qualified to do the job that they need to do. So we're going to use this to say this is our proof that we've done. We've at least looked at it and analyzed it, but we hadn't taken that next step where you formalize across the board. Here's how you make that assessment.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Well, gentlemen and ladies, thanks for your attention and your time, and hopefully this provided a little bit of insight and some ideas that you might be able to take back to your own operations.
For more information, give us a call or visit our website at www.rutherford.com.